Thank you for staying on. It's still Breakfast Live on GTV. We hope you've enjoyed the show so far. We've talked about aging and how you can improve your diet so that you look better as you age. Our dietitian Fauzia gave us some advice there. If you missed any of it, log on to our social media handles GTV Ghana. We are on an agenda to bring you on board along with us on the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation tickets to get 1 million followers on social media. We are on Instagram, we are on Twitter, we are on Facebook, we are also on TikTok. So let it be your mission so that you can follow us and invite others to follow us as well. The handle is GTV Ghana. I am Thelma Taki. This is the headline segment. Just gone by, we had Kwame Eugene with Tinefie asking you, stay home and watch GTV Breakfast. Or if you can't, that's why I asked you to join our social media handles, because we stream live this program and others from the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, and you can be a part of every experience. We'll be looking at all the stories that are making headways in the newspapers, and I'll introduce you to a few of them. Top of my table this morning, the Daily Graphic talking about the deadline for the SIM card linking with the Ghana card. 11 million SIM cards risk deactivation. Crowds besiege NIA centers for Ghana card. We are seeing a repeat of what we've seen in times past, with people gathering at the NIA offices just before a deadline lapses, and this is no different. Let's build borderless Africa through technology. ZPay CEO proposes. Tourism is on the bill. Nation targets 2 million tourists, $4 billion in 2 years. President Akufo-Addo yesterday speaking with the Minister for Tourism and other players in the tourism sector. Lots of plans to unpack there, and we'll get into the details when we get to the actual stories in the Daily Graphic. Let's check out the Ghanaian Times, and it's the photograph of yesterday's tragedy at Gomoa Oyerekun, where 16 people died. 16 died in Gori road crash. 20 others sustained injuries is what the Ghanaian Times is telling us. Dr. Bawumia has picked his nomination forms and he's displaying it on the front page of the Ghanaian Times. Veep picks nomination forms to contest NPP presidential primaries. That story is on page 13. JUSAG members return to work after suspension of strike. Remember, they announced a 2-week suspension of the strike so they can have the engagements that are needed to find solutions to their problems, and we'll see how that goes. Parliament declares Asin North seats vacant. Finally, that directive has come, and the EC and its partners will set the motion in progress to make sure that the election comes off. Heated campaign trail heading all the way to the central region. SC convicts, cautions, discharges Professor Akpesa White over contempt of court. They gave him some conditions as well to offer an apology, and we'll get into the details of that story as well. The Finder newspaper also talking about the tourism story. Achieved 2 million tourist arrivals by 2025. President's task ministry. 16 dead, 40 others injured in Gomoa Oyerekun. A few discrepancies. Some papers are saying 20 people are injured, others are saying 40, but even one person injured is more than enough for us to share a few thoughts with the injured, and also remember the families of those who have unfortunately passed away. Occupy Ghana pledges support for conduct of public officers bill. That is also in the Finder newspaper. Dr. Bawumia picks form to contest NPP flag bearership position. Will he be successful as another Vice President who has assumed and risen to the high office of President of the Republic of Ghana? Remains to be seen if the NPP will give him the nod in that contest, where he is going to compete against other big names in the party for the NPP presidential candidate slot. So these are the stories that we'll be looking at, and others as they come along in the next 1 hour or so. At the table, I've been joined by two gentlemen on the political front. Mr. Timothy Atabwade Awuturim is a former MP for the good people of Builsa North. Timothy, good morning. Welcome.
Good morning, Thelma.
Nice to see you once again.
Nice to see you too.
And Mr. Jamaluddin Abdallah is a member of the NPP communications team. Jamal, thank you for joining us.
You're welcome. And good morning to yourself and your cherished viewers.
A pleasant morning to you as well. Let me first go to this story from the Ashanti region, some disturbing reports that we heard from the Anglo Gold mine there. We are trying to establish our contact with our contacts there to give us an idea of what went down yesterday. We heard that there were some issues when the miners who were trapped underground were brought to the police station, and some people besieged on the premises of the police station and attempted to free the people. And even the presence of the NP of the area did just a little to calm the crowd down. We'll try and establish links with our correspondents, and then we'll get some more details of what has happened this morning or since last night when we last heard a report. At the table every morning, gentlemen, we give the opportunity to our guests to tell us something that's on their mind. Some call it the rant of the day, and I'll start with you, Timothy. What are the thoughts that are keeping you awake?
Let me say good morning to my colleague sitting with me here, and good morning to your cherished viewers out there and to your hard-working team. For me, I think some of the issues, there are many, but yesterday I took a special interest in the sanitary pad issues that cropped up, and I think there was a demonstration by civil society organizations, and what I even heard was that there were 120 civil society organizations that were involved in the organization of these, and I think that it's about time government should listen to. Yesterday I was on another platform and I said, look, should everything be taxation in this country? Should we even tax blood? Blood flowing from our mothers, our sisters, our wives, which is a natural phenomenon. Looking at the quantum of money that we have gleaned from taxation, over 383 billion Ghana cedis. Are we saying that the only thing we can do is to tax sanitary pad? In fact, if the taxation of sanitary pad were supposed to be used to establish even a local factory that will manufacture sanitary pads, that will give it to our rural girls who cannot go to school, who stop going to school because of their menstrual period, then I would go for it. But we'll pay tax on sanitary, then we use the same taxes on frivolous government expenditure just to satisfy the insatiable quest to eat our income, not for development purposes, but for reckless spending. Then we keep taxing everything. What are we doing to our people and our small girls who cannot go? Look at the psychological impact. Look at the trauma young girls go through who cannot afford sanitary. Must we tax everything? We did it. We were given free and we were told that it was demonic. And it led to some creativity at the time. Said that we saw people who tried to make local sanitary pads by which even the girl could use them and wash them. People are using, our young ladies are using all manner of material to be able to secure themselves when they go through this. So I think that such an issue, government should immediately look at it and pick up the taxes. Because looking at the various over 21 taxes that have been introduced, as I talked to you this morning, we are still paying for COVID levy, energy sector levy, energy recovery levy, boiler tax, everything, every facet of life has been taxed. Why? A country that, a government that told us they were going to move from taxation to production has made taxation their watchdog, and they are jealously guiding taxes, increasing taxes by the day, and we cannot even spare people who are going through this monthly cycle of periods and so on. What are we using blood money for? Unless we are draconians, unless we are what we call this Dracula. Or we are blood-sucking government people. If not, for me, I don't think that issue should even waste our time. Government should immediately disconnect. We've seen how tax exemption have been used recklessly under this government. You give tax exemption to Pullman hotels, $24 million. Pullman hotels.
The sanitation, the sanitary pad issue.
What?
Are we still on the
Yeah, I'm
sanitary
just
target?
looking at how taxation can be used. We cannot use taxes on every facet of life. It's the same thing, but I think there's a major issue, and we support the demonstration yesterday. I personally support it. I support it because I have a daughter, and I know what she goes through, and sometimes I buy sanitary pads for her. The last time we went to a shopping mall, I wanted to buy and said, Daddy, can you buy me this? It cost me so much. I was even taken aback. You understand? So for me, I think it's low, and it's no. We should support the 120 CSOs. We should support our girl child and so on, so that money, we can set it aside and still do better with over 383 billion tax revenue in 6 years under this government.
Right. Thank you for sharing those thoughts with us. Just a bit of information. Cody Technology up north has developed a business idea where they use plantain stalks to produce sanitary pads. Kodu Technology. We hear that they are graduates from the University of Development Studies. We'll be sending our team there to have a look at some of their operations and see what more they are doing out of this. It would be interesting to see how a local technology is being applied to a national situation, which every woman, and I think every man who is also a gender or a woman advocate, is also advocating. Taxes on menstrual hygiene products are quite a lot, and the agitation is that they should be removed to bring the prices down. A quick look through some of what those taxes are. There's a 20% import duty on sanitary pads. There's a 0.5% ECOWAS levy. There's a 15% network charges VAT. There's the import NHIL, which is 2.5%. There's the IRS tax deposit, which is 1%. There's a 0.75% EXIM levy. There's a 2.5% network get fund. There is 15% VAT import VAT, 0.4% processing fee, 2.5% network NHIL, 2% special import levy, 2.5% get fund import levy, 1% inspection fee, 1% COVID-19 health recovery levy, and a 0.20% Africa Union import levy. And this information is according to Renal Ghana Foundation, and they are a civil society organization in Ghana. They are the ones who have made these figures available to us. So calls for a scrapping of taxes on menstrual hygiene products, also very topical. Jamal, I'll come to you to pick your thoughts, but one of our correspondents is ready to give us some updates from the Ashanti region. Nicholas Osei-Wusu visited Anglo Gold Ashanti yesterday when the situation broke out between residents and some of the miners, with the police service and the military also at the police station, and he'll be giving us some details. Nicholas, thank you for joining us. We heard that yesterday was not pleasant for you and the GTV crew in particular. Tell us what happened.
Okay, good morning, Selma and other colleagues. Yes, as you might have had an idea about yesterday, I went to Obuasi to cover happenings there in relation to reported trapping underground of some miners. And there were some efforts arising out of that issue. And they boarded this matter arising boarded on security. And so I have to give maximum attention to that. So right from the time I entered Obuasi, I had to first report that I will visit the police station, that's the Obuasi Central Police Station, where on my arrival it was clear that the people were highly agitated. People who were familiar or who related or were friends to those people who were underground. They had, would I say, invaded the premises of the Obuasi Central Police Station. But they had been stopped from proceeding further to directly attack the police station. So there's a road police station from the other part of the community. So both police and soldiers had pulled up, and they had prevented them from coming directly to the police station. So when I went there, initially, what I even wanted to take, the situation was quite hostile. So I even hesitated until I reported to the police and identified myself. Then the crime officer did not have any. So all that I thought yesterday I was doing everything on my own, multitasking. Because now some of us have been empowered with the logistics and the training to do that. So I was using new logistics or gadgets that have been provided by the profession without any other support. So when I identified myself to the police, I was just throughout the day, from morning to after 3 p.m. That was all that while I was going and even sending some pictures to Accra, and even did a live report from that location in the presence of the police and the military. Nobody had any issue with the reportage and anything that was happening. Until after 3, that was around 3:30, thereabout, when suddenly I saw a reinforcement of military from when I later I found out that the reinforcement was from the 4th Infantry Battalion from Kumasi. And they had been brought in because the people who had, the agitated people who had besieged the premises of the police had refused to leave the area despite a period of some advice by opinion leaders and the police and the military leaders who were on the ground. They had decided not to leave. Even though part of what they were looking for, that was a relief of those who had been arrested. An opinion leader, I must specify that the financial candidate of SEC for Obuasi was Madam Atia Kene. She had been frequenting the police station. At the point I saw her with some things to express those who had been, the minors who had been arrested and taken to the police custody. Eventually, he managed to secure police inquiry for about 15 of them. And when these people were coming out, that brought and generated a frenzy among the people who were earlier agitated. So I thought they even carried the woman shoulder high and singing in their praise. So we thought from that time they were a bit satisfied, so they were going to leave. Not long after, they still regrouped and were still agitated. So probably, and I have no idea as to what went on behind the scenes. That by 3:30 we saw the reinforcement of military from Kumasi. And then, before then, these agitated members of Obuasi or residents of Obuasi had been turning lorry pipes in the middle of the road, right from the runabout at the frontage of Angugo Obuasi Mine through to the central police station frontage. And some of them were waving some deadly implements. I could see quite a number of them waving sharp cutlasses, some even brand new cutlasses, and then claps. So they were highly agitated, I could observe from them. And as soon as the reinforcement team came, they started with warning shots. Quite a number of them. It was, in fact, I can't put a figure to how many were. So that anybody, any journalist in such a situation, the interest there will be around. So I decided to take a good position so I could give you what was happening without making anything. So I had even videoed quite a number of them, the warning shots with the people in a matter of seconds following the shooting spree. In a matter of seconds, they had dispersed with through various directions. And so we thought they did not have the military did not have any problem. I was not there alone. I was there with colleagues from CT, TV3, and then a few other local media who were there. Before we could say jump, I was in the bucket of a pickup. But before I could say that, I also saw some stones being heard from various directions where the mob had dispersed or left through. So this, and then I was nearly hit by one of them. So I have to quickly jump from the bucket of the pickup. And before I could even land, take a proper position, I saw the commander of the troop approaching ferociously towards me and shouting on top of his voice, ordering me to stop. In fact, I had been taken apart because all this while nobody had expressed or shown any replies about what was happening as far as the coverage of the issues were concerned. So when I stepped back, I realized he was approaching me, coming towards me and shouting with a not too pleasant body or facial expression. Then he ordered his men to seize my jacket. Then I quickly identified myself as a journalist working for, because I was a videoing, so I had to, but I'm working for Ghana TV. And he made an unstable, disparaging, I would want to put it, disparaging remark about that. I was still looking at him, even though I had not reacted in the manner he came. I still kept my cool with some sort of smile, thinking that he would eventually calm down and then see reason with what I was doing, because I had identified myself as working for the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation and videoing for TV. Then he ordered some of his men to seize the gadget with which I was working. He did not give any reason. And then looking at the environment, it was not even fair for me to have resisted or to have done anything that would have further provoked me. So when his men one of his men took the gadget from me, he asked them to delete whatever video I had taken. The man deleted quite a number of them, but I have not deleted everything. All the videos I have taken since morning, including the burning of ties and the agitation of the Irish youth in the area. Not satisfied himself with what might have been done, and to ensure that there was no shadow of the video left on the phone. He took it himself, the commander of the troop. He took it himself, went through it, deleted everything I have captured right from morning up to the time, even the stones were being held from various directions aimed at the military men. He deleted everything, and still not satisfied, he went into the recycle bin on the gadget, deleted everything from the recycle bin of the gadget.
What was his reason for deleting the footage?
He deleted everything I had captured since morning.
For what reason, Nicholas?
He gave back the gadget to me without. But he was so, the picture, the expression, everything was. If suggested that if I had even uttered any word that was not pleasant to him, maybe a different story would have been told that might not have been pleasant. That might not have been pleasant than what you are discussing this morning. But I also kept my composure, kept my cool all this while. And even when he was making, after satisfying himself with what had happened, he still was giving some looks that would have frightened even the ordinary person. But as cool as I have always been, and being minded by morality and ethics of the profession, I still kept my composure.
Nicholas, did you report this conduct to anyone higher up the chain? The military always have a chain of command. Did you try to let someone know what this officer had done?
Not really, because the environment, in fact, at the time, what happened, I thought he was the most senior on the ground, because he had led when, you know, their command, when there's such a reinforcement, the reinforcement takes over from whoever is already on the ground. And so once he was leading the reinforcement team, I thought he was the most senior. And if the most senior leading the troops had done this, who else they have reported to? Unfortunately for me, he was not wearing any name tag, but I vividly identify him by face when I meet him one-on-one.
Nicholas, I hope that you're keeping safe, but now that the footage was deleted and obviously you did not have access to all your material to work with, you still managed to send us a report. And we saw some skirmishes between the miners as they were being escorted to the police station and the people of the town. Has that been resolved this morning, and what is it looking like security-wise?
This morning, the Obuasi SDC, Madam Fortunamita, has indicated that just at midnight, about 103 or 106 of those miners who went underground had emerged and had been handed over to the police. As I indicated, by the time I was leaving the place, that was around 5:30 p.m. About 15 of them have been granted police inquiry bail. I don't know as of now how many of them, of the 103 or so who were arrested, have been granted bail. But for the 15, that one I'm certain of the number.
So what's going to happen today? Do you expect that these protests will continue, and do you still expect some of these miners to resist attempts to get them to face the police and answer some questions?
I'm here to follow. I'm here to follow up on what was happening yesterday, but I would not be surprised if by close of day or even by this morning, most of them would have been granted police inquiry bail, because as at the time I was leaving, there were still some arrangements by the parliamentary candidates of the NDC for Obuasi West, and then some other opinion leaders to get. I even understood that the police had even agreed to go there with opinion leaders who will stand surety for those miners to take their portion statement under arrest, and then they will be granted police inquiry bail, so they will not be brought to the police station. The fear of the miners was that if they had emerged from the underground mine, they would have been arrested and sent to the police, and the law would have taken its course. That is what they wanted to avoid. That is why they were refusing to emerge or come out of the tunnel. It is not because they had been stabbed. And this is not the first time this incident has happened. About 2 months or so, I had a cause to report on the 120 of some wanted to have been trapped. So a similar situation that happened. It's part of the legal concession of Anglo-Gold Ashanti. And the conflicting issue we are getting, what we cannot be so sure is Anglo-Gold Ashanti is saying that it is still active mining ground. Residents of the area, that is Ahansi Borsia and Yen, a suburb of Obuasi district, are claiming that Anglo-Gold has already abandoned that place. So they think they can now claim or go there and prospect for. The DC has also corroborated the claim by Anglo-Gold that it is not an abandoned place. That is what is bringing about the friction between the community and Anglo-Gold.
Right, but Nicholas, thank you for those details.
Miners getting trapped underground. And the number we were made to believe that was around 300. It is far, far below that number.
Thank you, Nicholas. We would say go out, keep safe. By all means, report this incident to the police, and we'll report it also to the National Media Commission, the GJA as well, because a journalist should not be attacked whilst doing their work, and then perhaps an investigation can be started, and we'll get to who actually attacked you and confiscated your gadgets and deleted the footage as you just went about your regular duty. I think an investigation into the matter would be a good place to start. Nicholas Osei-Wusu is our Ashanti regional correspondent. He was covering the situation with the Obuasi Anglo-Gold Ashanti mine, which had some miners going under there, refusing to come up when they knew that they realized that they had to come and face the police. Some skirmishes were reported in that part of town yesterday, and Nicholas was monitoring that for us. In the process of monitoring the proceedings, he's telling us that a military officer attacked him and deleted the material on the gadgets that he's been assigned to work with. So we'll would call for that to be reported as well. At the table still, Timothy Atabwade Awotrim, former MP for Builsa North, who has just had his rant about the sanitary hygiene material for women and girls issue. He's here with Jamaluddin Abdallah, who is a member of the NPP communication team. And Jamal, you were just about to give us your thoughts of the day before we had to take that report from Obuasi. So I'll give you your few minutes to also have your rant.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. Once again, let me say a good morning to your cherished viewers. Their dedication and loyalty to your media house has significantly contributed to the growth of GTV. And before I come to the issue my brother raised, I think let me use this opportunity to condemn the treatment melted on your colleague reporter from Obuasi. I think there's a need for the security agencies to reorient the personnel, for them to understand that we cannot work without the media. There's a contribution the media plays in our development and growth. So there's the need to work hand in hand. So if we are able to reorient them and achieve that, I think the issues of security personnel refusing or blocking reporters from coverage would cease. Again, the NMC is there when you report them. I think they should also be up and doing and call out bad treatments and condemn those acts with all uncertainty to encourage people to open up to the media. My brother here is a former MP and he made certain pronouncements that I was amazed. As a former MP, you know how taxes are introduced.
Your rant of the day is a response to
yes,
his
I
rant.
need to respond to certain claims because as a former MP, that says to make pronouncement that the government is just taxing to spend. You know, it's sad because if we don't take care and we make certain incitements to the general public, inciting them to be up in arms with politicians, if we don't take care, one party wouldn't be in the system forever. Your party would equally come. And when your party comes, those rants and incitement you've done would equally, have an impact in how people perceive your government to be. So I think we should be careful. In as much as we are here to speak for our political party, we should look at things from a nationalistic perspective. Again, to talk about taxation, we all know the taxes that has been introduced and the taxes that were abolished. This government cannot be said to be a government that encourages taxation. This is a government that abolished 17 taxes when it came into office. Yes, as time goes on, certain taxes has been introduced. But it doesn't, how do you call it? It doesn't dispute the facts that 17 taxes that were impacting on the lives of the ordinary Ghanaians were removed. Among the 17 taxes, I know you know, and you agree with me. Yes, things have changed. After the COVID, a lot of issues popped up. Among them is the increase of prices from the source, which is where they import their items. Those that import their items from. The prices of freight, I'm told, moved from $3,000 to $4,000 to $12,000. All will have an impact on the prices of goods and services in the country because we rely on imported products. This is a government that has looked at it, considered, and initiated a policy that will help in these price hikes. Among them is the one district, one factory we are talking about. The one district, one factory would help us, utilize our raw materials into finished products and reduce importation in this country. And you would agree with me, when importation reduces, automatically goods and services would come down because the products are being manufactured here. The taxes wouldn't be more than the imported products. And this lady this groups of young people that have introduced this using, is it plantain or whatever, to do the sanitary pads. This is something we should encourage. She won the presidential pitch, I think a couple of years back. That was when I heard of her. When we encourage such people to be able to set up factories, employ ordinary Ghanaians to work in the factories, automatically we would address the issue. You can address the issue within just a day or within a short time. It's a gradual process where when the implementation of the one district, one factory goes on, a lot of improvement will be made, a lot of employment will be made, goods and services will be reduced.
Jamal, thank you for making your point.
I think the time is quite limited. He spoke more than I did, or?
Well, you spent part of it responding to other things you said about taxes. So it's the same time, you just responded with part of your time.
Okay, in conclusion, I would advise our colleagues politicians that it is one Ghana we are looking at, whether it is the NPP or the NDC. There's a need for us to dialogue and negotiate on such issues. It has been raised. The government is a listening government, and over the years we've proved to be listening to Ghanaians and acting upon them. As a former member of parliament, I believe you should tell your colleagues and representatives in parliament to raise the issue so that we can discuss it and look at how we can reduce the taxes.
Daily Graphic dedicating time to the risk of deactivation of SIM cards. Once again, another deadline is upon us and the queues have started mounting. And I'll pick your thoughts on our journey so far. Has it helped us? I'll start with you, Jamal. Has it helped us that we keep pushing the timelines back to allow people to register, only to see a calm and then another storm pick up when it gets closer to another deadline? We are here once again, as we've been many times before, and we are told that if you have not done it today, 31st of May, then your SIM card will be deactivated.
Well, I believe those who have not registered their SIM cards as of now are deliberately or not willing.
Deliberately?
Yes, are deliberately ignoring the notification that has been made over the years.
Even if they don't have the Ghana card through no fault of theirs?
Well, I believe whoever wants to acquire a Ghana card as of now would have gotten it by now. I was speaking to a friend yesterday. Apparently, the person doesn't have a Ghana card. And when you raise the issue, I saw the civil service is celebrating their week, so I saw them registering Ghana card. And I called the person, rush to the ministry and register for your Ghana card. The person told me there will be queue there. So the willingness. And
but is that everybody's case? Surely those are a few.
The willingness.
Could be.
And aside from that,
but the many
who do not want to go through the queue, there's a premium service that the NIA has made available for those that can afford to use that service. So, and challenges by the NIA has been addressed. They've time and time indicated that their district offices are operational, and when people go there, they would have their cards. So, yes, at the beginning of the Ghana card, there were challenges. But as time goes on, the institution find ways to address those challenges, such as there was a point in time that they said there were no cards to print. All those were addressed to make things easier for Ghanaians to register. So I believe that at this point in time, if you're a Ghanaian and you've not made an effort to have your Ghana card, then it means you might not be willing to do it. Nonetheless, I would also appeal that a month's extension or a couple of weeks extension wouldn't be bad, even though it has been extended a couple of times. In all situations such as this, there's always some people who would never register at all. And we can't keep on extending till thy kingdom come. So at a point in time, we have to have a cutoff. I would plead that from today, it should be extended at least for a month. Let's see if people would register. We can't develop Mother Ghana if we don't have a proper database system, because the database system will guide us on what is needed by this area, what is needed by these people. And having this system would also improve security in the country, where everybody is on the database. When this fraudster calls you to defraud you, the moment you give the contact, it will be traced. And when you have an improved security, automatically these financial institutions that gives loans and everything would also reduce their interest rate, because the interest rates are high in this country due to security.
Interest rates will be reduced if you link it.
When you have a database system, I'm looking at it from a general perspective. When you have a correct database system, risks that the bank claim is the reason why the interest rates are high would automatically reduce. So we are building a system that would facilitate development, improve security, provide people with access to financial services, and encourage entrepreneurs. Because if you have the Ghana card, every detail of yours is in there. Some of us have been privileged to be outside. We know how the system is built outside there. You can't develop a country without a proper database.
Let me pick Timothy's thoughts on this. Once again, we are here, and the story is starting on the front page of the Daily Graphic. 11 million active subscriber identification model SIM cards yet to be re-registered to the Ghana card. Risk disconnection and deletion tomorrow, as the deadline for the exercise expires today. Following the development, hundreds of people, majority of whom are trying to register their SIMs for the first time, have thronged the NIA centers in a desperate attempt to secure their Ghana cards. The national card is the only prerequisite identification document admissible for the completion of the re-registration of SIM cards. And so we are seeing in the newspaper on page 3 the long queues, with the NIA forced to erect some canopies outside to accommodate the growing number of persons there. The Daily Graphic spoke to the executive secretary of the NIA, Professor Ken Ajimanatefa, and he told them that that particular center at the headquarters can only process 650 applications, but that there were long queues and they are not sure they would be able to issue to all the people calling at its premium centers with the cards. And there are others. The premium service, of course, is paid for, and then the non-premium service is not to be paid for. Details in the Daily Graphic, page 3, extending to page 26. Timothy, what are your thoughts? Once again, the long queues have started. Last week, there was almost nobody there. Today, the past few days, since Monday, we've seen the crowds grow and the numbers increasing.
Just like my brother said before I get there, you see, my brother, it was your government, especially Bawumia, that brought data to this country, that we should speak to the data. Is that not it? So we are speaking to the data. The data shows that from 2017 to 2022, tax alone was 883 billion, borrowing 455 billion Ghana. The total borrowing was how much? 820 billion. Now listen to me. Capital expenditure, what you invested in capital, i.e. building and other things, it took only 53.5 billion. Total consumption, just consumption alone.
Why are you getting your figures, Timothy?
From what do you call it? From the budget. We did a cumulative calculation from 2017 to 2022, And when you add each year how much you got from taxation, it's clearly in the budget. You don't need a specialist to go into that.
Okay, so that's your response to his taxation.
That's the response.
Can we now focus on the SIM card risking
so
deactivation?
I was speaking to the data Bawumia brought into this country that we should speak to the data. I wasn't imagining, and members of parliament know what we've been talking about the issues. And you see, with the timelines given by the SIM cards for people to register, the issue is that this government, with regard to timelines, have performed poorly in this country. Every timeline we kept to meet each policy that they brought into this country has been poorly done. Mention Agenda 111, mention every timeline they brought, it has come to pass that their word can never be taken seriously when it comes to timelines at all. So I'm not surprised it is happening again. It's going to be postponed again. Look, the Ghana cards, like you rightly put it, a lot of challenges. From even what you read, they are telling that people want premium cards should pay an amount. And if I don't want premium card and I go there.
Premium service.
Premium service, yeah, that's a card too. Premium service gradually leading to the acquisition of the card and so on. You must have to pay. Now, those who are not having that capacity to engage the premium service of a state institution that is using government money or the people's taxation to run, is now segregating its services to give it to people who can afford.
The NIA is not the only institution that offers premium services. DVLA offers premium services.
What I'm saying is this.
Even the banks offer premium
Yes,
services.
they offer premium services to specialized people, to people who can afford those services. But at the end of the day, it is the taxes for the people that we use to build such institutions. The same taxes are used to run the institutions.
But they also had the rest of the time before the deadline loomed
to take
advantage of the free service.
And then NIA is budgeted. Budget allocation is given to them to ensure that the cards are printed. My card, it took me more than 2 years for me to pick it internally. When I registered my card in 2020, I had to pick it just somewhere last year. I had to go there several times. I went there on a number of occasions. I was directed to one area and so on. Look at my status. Look at how it took me. What was someone from Sandema? Someone from a village beyond Sandema, where these services are not available. Even the network challenges, sometimes you go there, ask you to say because they must be verified and so on and so forth. These are not the challenges that has been created by the poor people of this country. And I think that the extension is going to be done again. Now we have a situation where the challenges of life does not allow people to leave a certain job to go again chasing another services to be rendered by a state institution. Look, we have several cards in this country. We talk about even the voter's ID card. We talked about the international passports that we use. The same data on your voter ID card is the same data on your national identification
card. But it's become a law issue now.
It's
because
become
now
that is what I'm saying. That how did we
think
through?
It's a lot like TV license. The law says you should pay. The law says use only the Ghana card. So if you talk about the Ghana card as a soul, then you are talking about the law.
That was why to forestall this issue. Initially, when the bill was sent to Parliament, all these issues were raised up about the different cards that we want to. Have we got to a stage where we will replace all the cards with just one national ID card? If we have gotten to that stage, fine, we can go with the law. Laws are not made such a way that at the end of the day, when you are implementing the law, it becomes a problem. That law cannot work. In fact, the laws are made by the members of Parliament. They can send a memorandum and quickly change it. Look, when the law suits a government in power, they can change it within 24 hours. Parliament can sit within 24 hours and change a law. When the law is not working, must we be compelled to continue to do that, to use that law? That law is rather stagnating development and stagnating your policy. Where you want to move to, you are not moving to. You are getting challenged. Long queues. People are leaving their offices. My brother just talked about the fact that he even called a worker who is even probably better than some of our rural folks. And he said he has not even gotten his card. He called him to go. He said that no, the queues and time and so on and so forth.
Are
so
people
if
just making excuses then?
No, people will make genuine excuses. If the woman wants to go to Makwala market to eke an income, for him to take care of his daily bread, you want him to go and waste about 4-5 hours, probably even the whole day. So if laws are made such a way that those laws rather toward the effort of people, the law can be looked at any time. The laws are not cast in concrete and then still, so that when they are made, that is the finality. When you begin to operationalize a law and you find the law is not working, what do? You go back. You remember there was a law about the COVID issue that when you are caught outside without the necessary COVID protocols, you'll be arrested. You see, the law has become dumb. It has been dead, even though it has not been repealed, because its implementation, its promulgation and implementation was rushed. And we have several of those laws sitting on our shelves and even the law books that are not working. So for me, I think that the current chaotic situation where you see people who genuinely would want their cars to be linked to the national, national ID, but not fault of DS. Why should they be cut off? Because some of them use these cars for money transfer, for business, the same for business and so on. I felt that there was something wrong even at the beginning. Look, we could have linked these cars through the data that we have, through even the EC data. Recently, remember the argument in Parliament, even in social media and so on, about the fact that the Electoral Commission is going to do registration, but they were going to use the national ID as a sole source to do the registration. You know what came up? That was when we heard from the Director General of Dr. Atefa telling us that they own so much and they could not print the cards. The Minister of Finance said that there was money available. Yet, as at the time he was saying
but
that.
But do you appreciate that some of the challenges that the NIA was facing have been attended to?
Yes, they have been attended, but they've not been completely eradicated.
Right.
But government was ready to make money available for the National Identification Authority for purposes of what? Registering people at the Electoral Commission. But the same emergencies the government should attend to, lack of drugs, polio, childhood killer diseases, and so on and so forth, were delayed. But where government has in its interest, it will squeeze money to ensure that that issue is done. So we should look at the issue from a nationalistic point of view.
Let me give you a minute to react to what Timothy said.
I'm surprised my brother has brought in...
my eye on the clock. I'll give you a minute.
I'm surprised my brother has brought in politics, because we were looking at the issue from a nationalistic perspective. You see, as at February 19th, from the news item I read and what I heard, was 27 million Ghanaians have been registered as at February 19th. A lot more have been registered after the provisions that NIA was asking from the Finance Ministry was made available. When you sit here and make it look as if the national identification card is not necessary, blaming government that every timeline.
Did he say?
I didn't say it wasn't necessary.
No, but that was what you were insinuating.
I didn't insinuate that. What I said was that we have different.
But he's right here, and I heard him speak. Timothy, if you may. Timothy, if you may.
I didn't insinuate.
So
no, don't let him.
What he said and what I heard was not him saying it is not necessary. I never heard that this morning.
Well, among the things that he said, I retract that if he didn't say it. But
Thank you.
I believe that was what he was insinuating.
No, don't believe. I didn't say it.
That is my
Timothy,
opinion.
Let him have his.
No,
my opinion.
If he keeps going there, but you know it.
I'll give you an opportunity to also respond. So let's.
You now come out
30
to say.
seconds.
You now say it. The government should be blamed because every timeline they've set, they've breached upon it. It is. All these are not necessary. What is needed is to encourage people to go and register.
And that would be your final word on this topic.
You see, the NDC, when we started the Ghana card, your general secretary, who is now the chairman, including people like you, went out and told people not to go and register because
back to
but that was it. If you discourage people from registering, now how then do you encourage them to register?
But do you appreciate that some of the people who have not registered may also be NPP, CPP, or political parties?
That is why I believe
so it is the Ghanaian that is not registered.
That is why I believe this discussion shouldn't have been politicized. When my brother decided to politicize, I was surprised because your party went on in arms against the implementation of a database system that you and I agrees that that it will facilitate the
I
development
think,
of this
Timothy,
country.
I'll give you also a minute so that
Just
you have
a
your
minute, I
last
won't
one
waste
on
time.
this
He's
one, and
saying
then we
that we
go
went
to
out to
another story.
discourage people. And he's the same fellow who sat here and said that by February 2019, 27 million people registered. Is that not what he said?
But isn't it a fact that you discourage people?
I didn't misquote
No,
you.
but this is
But
a
what I
fact.
want to tell you is that how can 27 million people by 2019 registration register when we have 30 million people in Ghana here? What it means is that you must segregate that number. Some people could go to register about 4 SIMs. It doesn't mean
I'm not
that,
talking about the same. I'm
no,
talking about the Ghana.
there's no
Ghana
way
card.
Ghana card 27 million people in 2019.
I didn't say it. I said 19th February.
19th
This
February
year.
of which year?
This year.
This
Professor
year.
Teofo, yes, I'm reading
And if it is 27 million people and we are still at
It's
this
on
stage,
graphic online.
even they themselves have often said that, look, a lot of people, even the numbers that recent they've not come for their cars are huge. But for me, we didn't what do you call it? Discourage anyone. Like Telma said, it is for Ghanaians.
Then
and what
these
we are,
discourage people from registering.
yes, we had our reservations, and as a political
That
party,
should
we
be
can
as a
comment
fact.
on the issues, and we were not happy with some of the issues going on with the Ghana card issues. And when we
Gentlemen.
express this, we've gone to register.
Well, you politicize this and
why mustn't we
discourage people from-
politicize?
More
In fact,
stories
in
in
fact,
our
why mustn't we
newspapers. Timothy,
politicize it?
Jamal, if you may. Of course, we've talked about the SIM card re-registration and the risk of deactivation. If you have not done so today, this is the last day you could possibly do it unless the deadline is extended. Other stories in the newspaper: Nation targets 2 million tourists, $4 billion in 2 years. President Akufo-Addo speaking to some partners in the tourism space, and it happened yesterday. All the papers have carried it. Ghana Beyond, when we did the year of return, we saw the numbers of people who came into the country. And then we saw, with the advent of COVID, world travel reducing across the globe and beginning to pick up again. And of course, Ghana placing itself in pole position to take advantage of all the opportunities within the tourism space. The arts, in particular, are asking for a lot of help. What are your thoughts on the president's call to make us reach 2 million tourists by 2025? I'll start with you, Tim. Let's try and keep it short so we can
We'll
pack a lot
keep
in
it
there.
short. It is the right call to make Ghana a tourist destination area. And we all agree that tourist is what? An infinite resource. And the amount of money that it will bring into this country are huge. Even if you look at the tourists as an industry, the number of people it will employ is an inexhaustible resource for this country. If proper measures will be put in place to ensure that there's what we call tourist safety, security is beefed up, and people feel that they are safe when they come to this part of the world. And our tourist sites have been cleared of garbage, the filth in itself. Sometimes discourage a lot of people want to come. Security is a major issue, insanitary conditions and so on. So for me, it is a well policy if the government would put in place measures to ensure that there's so much interest in our tourist sites for us to come. But if you look at the way we are destroying our tourist areas, even where there's Galamsey and so on, please, it might not be able to yield the necessary fruition that we are asking that it should be put in place for tourists to come. But it's a good policy. For me, I think that my brother said we should be nationalistic, and I think I've been national on this issue. The only issue is that, you see, we also criticize that will protect tourists, and the fact that the forest is being destroyed and all the animals and all the beautiful sights that we are seeing are being engulfed with filth. And the government told us that he was going to make Accra, Ghana, the most cleanest city.
Accra, the cleanest city.
The cleanest city
So,
in
Tim,
Africa.
those
And up
are
to
your
now,
thoughts.
Yeah, these are my thoughts within the 1 minute.
Let's
and
hear
I
you,
think that-
Jamal, and let's keep it short as well.
Tourism is a very lucrative area when you look at it. I remember I was reading the news about Egypt, and they are targeting as they are making over $13 billion a year in revenue from tourism, and they are targeting around $17 billion in 2016. You see, when you have a generational thinker as a president, when you have people with foresight,
Who is
they
the generational
initiate
thinker?
moves and policies that brings in money, or that
you
brings
don't
revenue
provoke me,
to the ordinary Ghanaian. We were all here when the year of return was launched, when the president was moving to the Caribbeans, encouraging people to come to Ghana. Some people thought the president enjoyed traveling.
Jamal.
Just a second. Some people thought the president enjoyed traveling. You and I will agree that Ghana has become the destination in December. Everybody wants to come to Ghana. And when we continue encouraging this, you and I will agree that the revenue will not only come to Ghana, the government, but the ordinary water seller, the ordinary transport service provider, the hotels, among others, the restaurants, would all get money. So we should all encourage tourism. The president is doing his best. The Ghana Tourism Authority are doing a commendable job. I commend the head of the Ghana Tourism Authority. The Ministry of Tourism are equally doing very well, bringing in the people that will drive the majority of the diasporans into Ghana.
Let me pick a few of the
media are equally doing their best. You are doing your best. So let us encourage people, including the NDC. At least you can call people. Let people come.
Let's look at a few of the thoughts of those who are watching us on our WhatsApp number 05555610034. And we've talked about what happened in the Ashanti region of Boase, specifically about the miners. We've talked about sanitary pads. We've talked about the SIM card registration. We've talked about tourism as well. So these are the thoughts of those of you who are watching, and you've sent them over to us. Good morning, Thelma. The SIM re-registration with the Ghana card is a very good exercise, but the deadlines from the Communication Ministry is unrealistic. The registration is solely dependent on the NIA, which has no deadline in registering eligible Ghanaians, yet the Communication Ministry has given one for the exercise. How does that make sense? Is a question Joey is asking on our WhatsApp number. Good morning, TTV. It's not true that 17 taxes were scrapped. Let's be truthful to save the country. We could have had a database synchronized between NIA and the telcos to save productive time. Instead, we are wasting time queuing for cards. There are better ways to do this. But I think the NPP has an agenda. Simanu sent us that from Madina. Tony says, the introduction of these political parties members... Let's listen to what our viewers are saying so that we can also hear them out. Good morning, Thelma and team. The NDC has a knack for creating situations and come around to blame the government. They were on rooftops asking people not to register, and delay is a result of that. Amandes sent us that message. Good morning to you all in the studio. Tell the NDC man in the studio that Heza Siedun Ketia told Ghanaians not to go for the Ghana card. He has said it all. More messages on our WhatsApp number. Breaking the aid with NPP government is possible because looking at the massive infrastructural development, the construction of road networks and the implementation of better policies under the able leadership of Nana Bawumia, the NPP-led government should pave way for Ghanaians to vote massively in the next election. Or Sankide sent us that from Taifa. We'll look at some of the road infrastructure. Teshi people are demonstrating. They did that yesterday. Good morning. We shouldn't lose sight of the fact that Stubborn Academy is still at work. They should be discouraged. Nana Banda. So if you have one of the Stubborn Academy who is determined not to register, please do not do that. Go out and register. We encourage everyone to take part in the exercise. Good morning, Thelma and gentlemen. It's disheartening for the able gentleman to say that Ghanaians are unwilling to register. The NIA always has an issue, if not at the district level, then at the regional level and even at the headquarters. He's saying one of the telcos, I won't mention the name, send a message to send a slip to be skipped from being blocked. And that should let us know that 1 million of us still don't have the card. Why can't we just use our passport? It's a basic necessity for the Ghana card. Anyway, Salma is asking this on our WhatsApp platform. Over a month now, and they have barely registered anyone in Sunyani. They will tell you to go for premium at Kumasi. Kumasi for Ghana card is what Ameya is sending us from Sunyani. More, Madam Host, please, do you know that I did my Ghana card since 2018 until now? I've not been able to get my card till today. And the NCA is blocking my SIM and Momo account. How can we be treated like this in our own country? Ibrahim from Ayi Mensa sent us a message. Ibrahim, if you are not able to register, at least go for your Momo, okay? Just go and remove your money from the Momo account so that at least you have some funds to fall on. More messages, gentlemen. Our viewers listen to you, and so you also have a responsibility to also hear them out. Mahama Baf Kojo from Esuem said, if Nanado really cared, he would have scrapped the COVID-19 levy without delay. More of your message, which I'm unable to read. Lottie Jones from Esuem also having a say. The people of Ghana want to know how the COVID funds were spent. We already know there's no more COVID, just that we are being ruled by a certain government. Thank you for sending those messages across to us. So, Teshi people demonstrated yesterday because of the state of the roads in their community. Gentlemen, other stories in the newspaper. A tragedy struck Gomoa Ochrekun yesterday. 16 people lost their lives in that gory accident. Some papers are saying 20 people sustained injuries. Another account says 40 people sustained injuries. JUSAG members returned to work after offering to suspend their action for 2 weeks to allow for negotiations to continue. And of course, we've talked about the miners who went underground in Obuasi and whether or not it was an abandoned mine or not. Perhaps when the CEO of the Minerals Commission sits with us, we'll put that question to him. Dr. Baumia has picked forms to contest the NPP flag bearership race, so that's in 2024. But even ahead of that, Parliament has declared their Sin North seats vacant in line with the court's ruling that the MP cannot carry himself out as such, having nullified his candidacy to even take part in that election. Which of these stories would you want to pick on before we rise from here? Should I start with you, Jamal?
Well, about the Teshi people demonstrating on their roads, I believe they would agree that this government have done tremendously well when it comes to road infrastructure. The records are there, which so the president's last State of the Nation address, it was boldly.
Did you watch the demonstration story, Jamal?
It was boldly.
Did you hear any of the people speaking from the community?
Well, I've heard it from a couple of media.
They did not say that. They said they have not benefited from the year of roads.
Well, I have been going to Teshi.
We can play it back for you if
I've been going to Teshi.
Should we play it back for you?
I said I've been going to Teshi, and nobody would dispute the fact that yes, there are certain linking roads that might be bad, but their main roads, they are contractors on the road. They are main road, they are contractors on the road, and it's a gradual process. We came, and the deficit, the roads that the claim has been constructed, were constructed in books, Green Book and others. When we came, the reality hit us, and we initiated, we aggressively started addressing road infrastructure issues in this country.
In Teshi, particular.
In this country.
So
in this country, and even in Teshi's main roads are benefiting.
Which one?
I used to go to Teshi as a battler. I used to rush to Teshi until I had my broken heart. But
which of the Teshi roads have you?
But the Teshi roads,
has this government constructed?
The Teshi roads, the Teshi Nungwa Lashibi roads. There's a contractor on the road. There's a contractor. Last year,
but
I
that's
remember,
just the one.
Yeah, there's a contractor on the main road.
That's just the one.
When it is addressed, then we'll take it from there to other places. Other places are benefiting from their inner linkage routes. Yes, when you have an MP that knows how to negotiate, that knows how to lobby, you push for those things. So probably the pressure should be on their MPs, their representative.
The MP does not construct roads.
I never said the MP did. I said when the MP knows how to negotiate and lobby. Even when Dr. Okoboy was the MP, he negotiated and the construction of the Lekma route started. He was lobbying. There are times even as at 7 a.m. he's at the office of the road minister with representative of his constituency so that they feel and know what he's doing, pushing to get their routes. So if Teshi and its inner towns have not gotten their routes, they should be asking their member of parliament, what claims or plea is she carrying to the Parliament House?
Jamal, thank you. So, Timothy, which of these issues would you want to touch on? Tragedy at Goma, or
Even
your
Sandema
Jusak strike,
have been constructed, and he's aware.
Baumia picking forms to contest the MPP flag bearership, or they are saying no.
You are not disputing. From Navrongo to Sandema, hasn't the road declared?
I have only a few minutes.
I'll mention the contractor on that road.
You will eat into your time.
But don't go to the road construction in my district, first of
To
all.
where, guys?
Secondly, you see, don't be talking like Baumia. You're a young man, and I don't wish you to grow like Baumia. My road from
I'll be pleased to grow like him.
From
The man that
Navrongo to
changed
Sanma has
the
been
political
constructed.
discourse of this country.
People of Sanma are listening to you. You see, I wanted to talk
Navrongo
about
to
the
Sandema
tragedy.
hasn't been. It hasn't been
Who
Is
was
constructed.
it
the
the tragedy
contractor?
at Goma? Jamal, if you may, please.
And you see, the people of Teshi knows what they are doing. They are not demonstrating against their member of parliament, but they are reminding the government that you talked about a year of rules. Yes. We haven't gotten our portion.
He's saying the main road is being constructed.
There's
No, I
even an
use that road. I
interchange
stayed-
on
I
that
stayed
road.
there.
Do you know there is an interchange being constructed on the
Jamal,
Teshi
I
road?
don't have time.
Jamal, if you may.
see that
Are
intention,
you
don't
aware?
let us, if I'm aware, I pass through that,
Okay,
that place.
then we're
I
done.
stay at Sakumono. So that's my daily route. I can go there several number of times. And that interchange, I don't want to go there. It was awarded in 2012. I've told your people several times. But indeed, we give the credit to you that you started anyway. So the road construction network in this country is bad, and you've done less. I wanted to give you the figures,
It's
but
not
let me
true.
go to Kumar tragedy.
It's not true.
You see, it's becoming a problem in this country that the drivers are not new to the roads in this country. Needless lives are lost. Painful lives are lost. How come that there will be a headlong collision? And the road from here to Cape Coast has been reoccurring. The accidents are on the road. So if you have been driving on that road, you should know. How come that we keep losing needless young people, mothers, children on the road due to reckless driving? And from the reportage we heard yesterday was that the petrol tanker, the driver was asleep. And anytime, look, my sister, check the way even tipper trucks loaded with sand, with stones, drive even in the middle of town here. They drive at top speed and they hoon their horns. When they are getting nearer to you, they'll play the horn. Is that a country we want to build for ourselves? They do that knowing that you are carrying goods, and the other truck is carrying what? Human beings. Look at the way we drive in this country. Accidents have occurred on the Cape Coast Road several times. How can we be having accidents at this time when even the economic hardship alone is accident to the people of this country? The economy that we are going through is a complete disaster. Then on top of it, you are at home, your mother or your sister who is visiting you or traveling to do business, you hear that the fellow has been killed by a reckless driver and so on. Something must be done. And it's not only left to the law enforcement agencies to do it. Even the drivers should know that you are carrying human beings. You are not carrying goods. And you should drive with all the utmost care that you have to.
I think it's a good point for us to wrap this conversation
Yes,
on.
it is so
calling on all of
painful.
us to be
Well,
more
he made
careful.
he made
Painful.
On the roads, I think it's a good place to pause this conversation.
Look at the
and we'll
Kintampo
revisit
Road
it
where we've been
another
getting
time.
thousands of people.
Honorable
die.
Timothy
Recklessly.
Atabuade Awotrim is a former MP for Bolsa
But I
North
assessing that-
constituency, and Jamaluddin Abdallah is a member of the NPP communication team. Gentlemen, thank you for making the time with us this morning. I'm sure we'll have you back again
Well, they're
another time
assessing
so that we have
that
another conversation.
They have constructed
This
more
is
roads
the
than the
headline
NPP. It's a
segment
lie.
on GTV Breakfast.